Hello, happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday where I am, but happy whatever day of the week it is wherever you are. I hope you're doing well, having a great day. So, what I thought I'd do now is I thought we'd demonstrate how capabilities like MCP and extensibility to generative AI can assist you not only in writing code in development, but around the whole development lifecycle. So, we started out probably a week ago. I did some demonstrations with the whole set of tools I've got now for controlling remote compute, talking to proxy servers, talking to databases, and also one we created to talk to APIs, and that started out relatively simple. So what I've done over time is I've decorated it with more and more capabilities. And if we'll go into Claude Desktop now. We could do this in Claude Code as well because it's MCP. It'll work in Claude Code as well, and it'll work in any tooling that supports MCP. So what we've got here is we look at our MCP API connector. We've now got many more capabilities. So over time, so over the past week, we've decorated this with more and more capabilities. So first of all, we understand how to write good MCP extensions. That's quite important. And what we've done is, as we've been doing things, we've got Claude Code to go away and add extra capabilities to this under our guidance, under our supervision. So the key thing is making it do the right thing. That is key. So you need the experience to be able to do that. So we've got the experience to do that. So we've made it add new capabilities to that over time to do things, understanding how MCP works, to create this tool set of now dozens of capabilities. And not only have you got these dozens of capabilities, what you can do when you daisy chain them together, you create an exponential array of capabilities to be able to do things. Now, it's now probably several thousand lines of code. There's hundreds of tests. So we've made it so that the code we've created is clean code. We've made it so that the code we've created is very well tested. So it's not scripted. It's not thrown together. It's very well crafted. And we're going to show what we can do with this tooling outside of writing code, but as part of the development process. So that's really what the aim of today's demonstration is. So let's go away and first of all, let's connect to an API. So what I've done is, I've shown you a delivery API that we've used for other demonstrations. And what I've gone away and done now is create a V2 of this, where I've gone away and made some modifications. Some of these are changes in behavior. Some of these are simulated defects. And what we want to do is we've got a V1, we've got a V2, and we want to be able to go away and know if anything's changed. So we're going to use this tooling to be able to do that. But we'll start quite simply to start with. So first of all, we'll connect to the V1 endpoint. So it's running, so we'll connect to it. So we'll ask it to connect to the API, and we'll give it a few seconds to connect. Now, not only can we connect to one API, we can connect to multiple APIs. So at the moment, we've only connected to one API. So let's get it to show us the list of all connected APIs. And we should just see one. Now, multiple APIs can be useful for a whole myriad of reasons. A great example is, for example, authentication. If you're using an identity server, for example, and you need to go away and get a bearer token, and then you need to make calls with your API. It's really annoying to have to go into Postman and get that bearer token and then whack it into your second API. So a capability to add multiple APIs and do things with APIs and have the generative AI be able to understand how to use that to be able to do things means that we can essentially make a lot of these processes a lot slicker. So we would traditionally probably go into Postman to do what we're going to do now, but we're going to do it purely via the Claude desktop interface. So you can see we're connected to one API. So what we're going to ask it to do to start with, we're going to ask it to make a representative call to every endpoint. So say we've got this new API and we want to connect to it via Postman, or we've got to generate a Postman collection to do this. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to get the generative AI to go away and make calls to all those endpoints. So we'll let it do that. It won't take it very long because there aren't many. And then what we'll do is we'll just have a look at the call history. So we've got capabilities here. So we can actually internally, it now has a call history that we can query and modify and do things with, that we can look at to be able to do functional outputs or emissions in response to that history. So here's a summary of of what it's done. And we can actually see that if we ask it to show us the API history, its internal API history now, it knows which calls it's made. Bearing in mind, this also has the capability to connect to a proxy, and we've got a proxy MCP, so we can also combine this with a proxy MCP to do things with a proxy. So you can see we've got 5 calls, which is as expected, right? So that's kind of what we wanted to see. So what we're going to do now is we've made those 5 calls, but we really want to get a Postman collection together. So let's go away and see if we can do something with that. So give me a second. Uh, let's ask it to create me a Postman collection and export all the current API calls to that Postman collection. So we'll get it to do that. The MCP tooling now has capabilities to interact with Postman. So we're going away and Claude is going to actually be building the JSON for us, and then we'll see if we can load these endpoints into Postman. So that'll take it a little while to generate. So it's going away generating the JSON, which is basically the format of the, there we go. It's now created a collection, and we see the collection here. So what I'll do is I'll go into, we'll go into Postman. So give me a second. Here's Postman, and we'll import a new collection. We'll just drag that file on there. Drag that file on there, and you can see we've created a Postman collection now that we can go away and do functional things with Postman if we want to, rather than manually creating the Postman collection ourselves. So that would be quite painful to do. So we've got that to do it for us. So let's go away and do something. Let's connect to the V2 version of the API. So let's get it to do that. So we've told it the URL of where the V2 version of the API is. So it's going away connecting to that now. And we'll just get it to show us all connected APIs. So we can see that we're connected to more than one API. So we'll get it to do that. So you can see now we're connected to two APIs on different ports, and they've also got different versioning on the API routing. So what we're going to do now is we'll clear the API call history. We'll start afresh. And then we'll go and get it to do a little task where we've got a V1 API, we've got a V2 API, and we want to compare the functionality between the two to see if anything has changed. So we'll go away and get it to do that, to see if it can find these little changes that I've made deliberately to see if it can detect them. So let's go away and ask it to do that. So I've asked it to make a call to every endpoint in V1 and also to V2 and compare the responses and let me know in a report the differences. We've also given it the hint that they share the same database, so we'll let it go away and do that. It's going away to do that now. So it's figured out how the routing works, so it can make the different routing calls on the two APIs. It's now going away making V1 API calls, so we'll go away and do that. And then what it should do is it should connect to the V2 API. It should make similar calls. And we've given it a hint that they share the same database, so it might want to bear that in mind. And then it will go away and make calls against it. I think I had a slight issue calling the delete endpoint there. So we'll explore that afterwards. Oh no, it just decided to do that at the end. So it's done the delete for the V1 and the V2 at the end. So now it's going away and creating a comprehensive report comparing the two APIs. So let's see if it can see the differences. Right. So the V2 endpoint is broken. I've deliberately broken the V2 endpoint so that to see if it would be able to detect it. It has detected that the V2 endpoint is broken. It's detected some differences in headers, which isn't unexpected because they'll have different headers due to the fact that they are essentially different APIs. So we'll let it finish what it's doing, and then we'll go away and have a look at what the primary issues are. So first of all, it's identified the delete endpoint is broken. Yes, it is broken. I've deliberately broken it. It's also identified that the put endpoint is now returning a 202 content accepted, where it was at 200 before. Great. That is something I've changed. So that is been detected by the tooling going away and it consuming version 1 of the API and version 2 of the API. And if we go away and show all calls, so actually let's finish just looking at this. It likes how we've implemented versioning and it's made the comments at the end. We need to fix the V2 delete and sort out the semantics of the put. So the final sentence, action required, the two things I've changed, it's detected. So if we look at the call history now, we'll see all those calls in the call history. So really, all I'm trying to demonstrate here is there's a lot more to MCP and generative AI than writing code. And if you don't want to write code, you don't need it to write code. This tooling will also work in Claude Code. So as we're writing code, we can do these kind of things inside Claude Code. So as we're doing development and we might want to try endpoints and do things and make changes and make code changes without going into Postman and having to do things, or if we've got multiple APIs, we can use generative AI to be able to do these things with multiple APIs far more efficiently than us going into Postman, doing this, doing that. We created a Postman collection. It did that for us as well. If we want to use Postman, just building that bare bones Postman collection could take some time. We use generative AI to do that. So really all this demonstration is about is just to say, it's not all about the code. And if you don't want to use generative AI to write the code, you don't need to, but MCP creates very powerful capabilities. These multiply internally as you give generative, the MCP tooling more endpoints, it can do more things. And this creates more correlation possibilities that allows a model to figure out, oh, if I've got this and this, I can do this. It's very good at doing that if you give it the bare bone limbs to be able to do things. When you then combine that with other MCPs like a proxy MCP or a database MCP, and we've shown this in previous demonstrations, you can go away and in one hit, it can go away and exercise the API. You can look at what the API response is. You can go away and look in the proxy. You can look at what's going on with the proxy. You can go away and make functional calls via the API by modifying the payloads. It can do all that. It can go away and look in the database at the end target database to see if the data is in the right state. So really, quick demonstration of what you can do with MCP. It's not all about writing code. It can assist in the process of writing code. And that's all I wanted to show you today. So that's all I've got for you today. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Look after yourself. Take care and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.